All right, now we've laid all of the groundwork that we needed, and we can really start to dive into what this is going to mean for your brand. Now, the voice and words, let's talk about voice first. So, voice is an extension of your brand personality. So, those three words that you chose, one, two, or three words that you chose for your brand attributes, describe how people perceive you. And then these are an extension of that because it's how you talk and how you sound to people. You're going to sound friendly, humble, honest, realistic, easy to understand, genuine, perhaps slightly cynical. Maybe you have a little bit of a dry sense of humor. These are all common ways for your archetype to show up in the world, especially through your written and spoken material. So again, whittle those down, figure out what your personal brand filter is going to be, and figure out if your current communication is speaking to that. Do you sound humble in most or all of your written material and in your interviews? Or if honest is the word, are you being very transparent about things behind the scenes? Are you being vulnerable and showing your mistakes and making apologies, those types of things? So hone in on the ones that make the most sense for your brand, that are your favorite, because these are all on brand. You can choose from any of them without worrying about confusing your brand message. And figure out if your current stuff passes the test. These are phrases that I can imagine your archetype saying if you're a person, and I mean, chances are you are a founder, you're listening to this video. So I could imagine you saying something like the real deal, I'm your go-to girl or guy, bang for your buck, pay as you go, down to the earth, etc. Also pay attention to the like the colloquial phrases or the figures of speech that you use personally, because that's a great way to add emotion and personality into your brand that's authentic. Try to use the filter of the guy or girl next door. So don't say something that is going to, I don't know, perhaps offend a lot of people. Keep your language inclusionary and friendly to most. Unless they're in charge, then you're allowed to poke fun. All right. Next is your title. So when you think about the title, it's like the role that you're playing in your business, in your brand. So you are the friend, the counselor, you might be the planner, the wingman. Most of these titles relate you to other people, and that's really important. So it shows people that you are part of the community, you're part of a larger picture. Your call to action is a great opportunity to live your brand out loud, to layer in more levels of understanding, to add more of your archetype in. So instead of saying something like join my newsletter list, you could say become a member, or band together with us, come together with us, let's be friends. Something like this that packs a more emotional punch is going to resonate and move your ideal clients into action because it is communicating this emotional brand archetype to them. And often it takes doing it first badly, at least in my experience. The first time I write anything, it's bad and it's generic and it might be neutral, or if it has perhaps the wrong emotion. So I included the copy makeover exercise in your guidebook, where it gives my personal process for looking at some of the most important pieces of my writing. So I'll actually start highlighting phrases and words that have the emotional effect that I want the piece of writing to have, where I'm actually portraying my brand archetype. And anything that's off archetype, I highlight with a different color. So this helps show me if predominantly, if overall I'm getting the right emotional feel from my writing and from my messages, or perhaps if I'm leaning in a different direction, then I need to replace some of those other words, or if I'm being really generic and boring, I need to add in more of these emotional words. Think about that impact, those feelings that you want people to have. Let me just roll back up here real quick. So you want to make people feel validated, like they're right, that they're connected to a larger community, that they're worthy. These types of things should come through with the choices that you make as far as how you talk to people. Similarly, when you're naming your email list, you're naming your products, naming your services. You could think of words like folks, tribe, get together, BFFs, barter, a school, building a habit, building anything. Like we'll get into themes and metaphors, but like actually building construction is a really strong metaphor for your business, even if your business has nothing to do with actually building houses. But these are all things that communicate to people what you're all about. They communicate this down to earth, realistic, community driven brand that you are. Lastly, headlines, and you can always pause the video here to work through each of these headline types. But for example, you could write a post that says, "We can do better than this," and call people into action to help each other out, to be more civil, that type of thing. And instead of just saying how to, let me think of an industry example, how to apologize to your boyfriend if you're a relationship coach. You might say real life and tested strategies for apologizing to your boyfriend. So you're adding in some of these emotional words that give people the cue of what you're all about, that include your brand archetype. So I have a brainstorming exercise in the workbook that has each of these different categories. So start to build out your unique brand language, your treasure chest of phrases and names, and even little sayings that you want to be known for, that you that fit your brand. And excuse me, I'm thinking as I'm talking here. I'm not doing a very good job of it. Make sure, or you can also hit up the thesaurus. It's also really powerful. So I've given you the starting places that have the right emotional impact, but they might not be exactly right for you, or you want something that's more unique, something that isn't just given to you. So definitely remix it, work with this thesaurus or Google or Pinterest, and come up with your own versions of all of these ideas. You're going to be amazing. I'm excited to see what you come up with.